The title of our case study is Leadership for Social Justice. It's a Matter of Trust.
I'm Assistant Professor Rosa Rivera-McCutchen from Lehman College, the City University of New York, in the Department of Counseling, Leadership, Literacy, and Special Education.
I'm Assistant Professor Terry Watson from the City College of New York, Department of Leadership and Special Education of the City University of New York.
Terry and I use JSL often in our courses. We find the cases to be relevant and striking and critical resources. And so we feel as though our case study is in line with those that we often use in our courses.
Potential school leaders should use this case as a template, if you will, for best practices. Because it's embedded in social justice, we hope that, particularly in contexts where demographics are shifting, that leadership learns to take a moral stand.
The particular case that we present is of a relatively new school leader who stepped onto the scene of a community that's very much in transition. As Terry noted, it's a community that is dealing with a significant demographic shift and that has seen its share of resistance to those shifts, both in the external kind of broader community, but also within the internal context of the school. And so in the case, the school leader has come into this place and is really eager to make some changes and to bring the school along to address and meet the needs of all of the students. However, there's been a significant, as I mentioned, demographic shift. So the predominantly white, middle-class, blue-collar community of families have moved out of the school, and a larger percentage of English language learners, new immigrants, have been coming into the school. And so that's really affected the overall reputation or perception of the school from the community. And so there's been a significant, as I said, white flight, and to really create even more challenges, there's been a lot of resistance to the increases in the taxes, which is funding the education in the community. And so in the case, we highlight several critical incidents that really underscore the challenges that the principal is facing. And we ask students, prospective school leaders, to really consider the ways in which this principal is either advancing the causes of social justice and equity and trust in the school, or is really hindering those causes.
And while the school leader has spoken privately to many members of the faculty that there are indeed racial and class undertones to the respective incidents, the fact that he or she, or he rather in this instance, did not do so in a public manner leads some members of the school community to question his true intent, which unfortunately causes some community members to lose their sense of trust in the school leader.
So one of the things that's really underscored in our case is that social justice leadership is really a public stance, right? And so it cannot be done behind closed doors as this school leader was trying to do. What compelled us to write the case is that these kinds of demographic shifts are happening all across the country. And the face of the kids that are in the schools, the communities that are being served by the schools, are rapidly changing, and schools need to be able to respond to those shifts in ways that are culturally responsive and that are addressing equity issues as they come up. And so they need to have really frank, difficult conversations, not only with their school community that are inside the walls of the school, but also with the broader community.
As school leaders and potential school leaders, our actions must not only be transparent, but they must be embedded in moral and social justice. A school leader is a school leader for all children, students and members of the community, and that should always be known by everyone.
So some of the particular points in the case that we think ought to be brought up in the teaching, obviously there are questions that help guide and unpack the reading of the case that we really thought carefully and deeply about those questions so that professors and students, aspiring school leaders, could really begin to unpack the case at various levels. So they can, begin with the very basic things where, they start to discuss the competing interests of, preserving one's job versus doing what is socially just. And then to really go deeper and to begin to explore the ways in which students might envision solutions to some of the challenges that come up both within the school and outside in the broader community. But in particular, what we do in the case is we highlight two critical incidents. One that has to do with, in both cases, it has to do with the students and teachers' lack of support and really racist actions and prejudice actions towards their students and the ways in which the principal fails to directly address these concerns when they're raised not only by the students but also by teachers of color. And again, it really highlights the loss of trust when there isn't a transparent effort to engage in difficult conversations, not just the difficult conversations that are behind closed doors, but really the difficult conversations that need to take place in a public space.